program we call Fresh Start. A lot of families in our community have been able to stay in housing because of that program. I know, say at Christmas time, when we are working with those families, 75 kids or more are getting Christmas presents from that program alone. Hundreds and hundreds of families have worked through that program. We have in COVID times rescued people off of the streets. We want to talk about a vulnerable community facing that disease. It's the homeless. We've been able, through the worst of the winter months, we were able to rescue a few more families and put them in motels. We're looking forward to doing a bit more of that because COVID hasn't gone away yet. And guess who's the least vaccinated among us? It's going to be people living under the bridges and in the parks. We're trying to rescue some of those families as well, because I don't believe any kid has any reason why they should not have home. So we as a congregation have been working towards that goal of family promise. They're now looking at expanding the transitional housing option. It's been working well. We don't have enough. If anyone has tried to buy or sell a home lately, prices are ridiculous. They've gone through the roof. And as such, every bit of new housing has gone to meet that demand. Very, very little has gone to meet the demands for, let's say, a two-parent family, both working minimum wage. That's spend over half of your money on rent. You can't live that way. So there's got to be something done. This can be part of our solution. And so I, as a full member of this church, a full volunteer of the program, and a fully employed man working for that program, urge this congregation to do what has been part of our mission all along, which is expand our relationship with Holy Cross, with Family Promise. What will happen with the property hasn't been fully worked out yet. The way Family Promise works is it is led by the congregations who are a part of it. We are one of those congregations. We are the founding congregation. We can found yet another service with them and be part of the advisory board that develops that land and the program attached to it into something that is beautiful for our community.
Thank you, Doug. Jerry.
A question. Is the $175,000 in cash all? Is the $175,000 cash all?
I believe so. I'm going to defer to Doug and TJ when we were talking about it on Tuesday. Yes, Doug's nodding his head yes. Is that true, Gail? Are you still in contact with TJ?
Let me ask him
Okay.
if that's true.
What I'm looking for, in addition to discussion and any discussion, Reba, okay.
Well, I actually, thank you for the microphone. I share Doug's passion for interfaith and for children. My question, I have twofold questions. Number one, what is our payment now to Thrivent for the property? And number two, Lorraine, would it be possible for us to have another fundraising auction as we had in the past under COVID?
I'll get to the first one because I know that by heart. We pay Thrivent for our mortgage on this. Yes, Gail.
Margot is asking if you can repeat the question before you answer.
Okay. The first part of that question was, what is our payment to Thrivent? We pay Thrivent for our mortgage on our entire facility, meaning from the gym all the way to the end of the parking lot, $900 a month. Now, coincidentally, Family Promise pays us $900 a month to lease that house from us. Most people, when they look at those numbers, say, that's a pretty good wash right now. dime of your contributions goes to paying our mortgage. It goes to paying Pastor, Janet, our programs, and upkeep on our building. Okay? The second, does that answer your first part of your
It
question?
does. Thank you,
The
Brian.
second part, you're going to have to repeat, it was about a fundraiser?
It's really secondary, but in the past, I benefited directly from a fundraising auction that we held in this place that Lorraine arranged beautifully. And my question is it possible to do that under COVID?
I guess if you're saying, can we hold a fundraiser in this facility during COVID? Yes, as we come out of COVID, it would have to be structured very similarly to how we've had to change church services. You would need to space people out. Again, it would be totally rolling the dice to know what kind of attendance you would get for a fundraiser. In the throes of COVID last year, many not-for-profits, including Family Promise, had to either dramatically change and or eliminate many of their fundraisers they depended on. Yes, ma'am?
Who's that the last man, Thomas? I was at the last family, Thomas. I'm a board member with Family Promise. And the offer is cash. Okay?
Okay, thank you, Matt.
And TJ did answer yes. I'm sorry, I forgot to add that.
Yes, full disclosure, Matt Nyquist is on the board of Family Promise. Doug Odell does indeed work for Family Promise. TJ is indeed the executive director of Family Promise. And all three of them have also all agreed this would be a cash offer. And what council is looking for is a general discussion and then motion from this body that we pursue this with Family Promise. Because what we're going to need to do is get a group together, be it representatives of property and finance, to look into some of that due diligence, negotiate with Family Promise, and then transact the deal. Okay? Rather than just a 4-page PowerPoint, we need to flesh out some of these things. But we don't want to go to that effort if this body's saying, no, we want to keep what it is and not enter into any partnership with Family Promise. Yes, Lauren?
I would just like to add, there's more than just transfer of ownership involved here. We've been partners with Family Promise, as Doug says, for over 20 years, and we would still be involved in what goes on there. So if you look at the offer, no, that's not market value, and I don't think we need to expect market value because this is a combined effort for transitional housing. We don't have the ability, either financially or manpower, to do something like that on our own. But we do have the ability to join with Family Promise and make it happen.
Yep, very well said, Lauren. That's kind of where I'm coming to. I got 2 questions. I'm going to go to Steve first, and then I'll come back to you, Jerry.
So, not to confine the point on it, are you hearing me? Is this on? Yeah. So our mortgage is how much?
A little over 84,000.
84,000. So after the transaction is completed, after the sale, we would have, about $90,000 in the bank with our mortgage paid off. Would that be?
Roughly correct, yes.
$91,000 cash for the congregation, and Family Promise would have the facility, and it's an outfit that we work with and have worked with, and as Doug mentioned, basically started a number of years ago. So that's what I'm getting at. And my 2 bits is, let's do it.
That was your question. Okay, well, good job, Steve, because you answered Jerry's question, too. Okay.
Brian, can you just recap what he said?
What Steve's saying is basically when you look at the transaction, we would be getting the money in cash, we would be paying off our mortgage, and then we would be putting into the bank the residue after that, which is going to be roughly $90,000 cash into our bank accounts. Okay? We'll leave it up to council and finance to figure out which one of the many special project funds it goes into, but nice to know you now have a cash cushion with our church. Albeit, you don't own the property anymore, but you've now sold it to an entity that you've partnered with for over 20 years, which is a lot better than selling it to Joe Smith as he comes in to buy the house.
And you can repeat this. One of the expenses that property has is maintaining the Easter house.
Yeah, as Jerry says from the building committee, one of the expenses we have, a large one, is maintaining that house right now. And that gets back into the due diligence and true faith and disclosure we would do to Family Promise. We have fixed the windows in there. We've worked on the porch. I know we've done the water heater and some plumbing issues, but that's an old house. And it is not just soaking some of our money to maintain it, but you look around here, and I'll put myself in that category too, none of us are as young as we used to be, and the people that are on the building committee are nowhere near wanting to go over there all the time and fix things. We're going to have to start contracting out some of this maintenance, because we're just getting beyond the ability to maintain. And that's true not just for the Easter house, but we need to, that's later on when we discuss the future of our church, that's this building as well. Yes, Lauren?
I would like to make a motion that we empower the council to explore this issue with the backing of the congregation.
Did everyone understand Lauren's motion? Is there a second? Second, Deanne or Reba, either one. And a question from Suzanne.
Yeah, I have a question. This shows a duplex. You mentioned apartments.
The apartments was just an idea TJ, Pastor, and I floated when we got together for coffee.
Okay, good.
I think one of the reasons that they want to go with a duplex on the empty lot is that's manageable. It stays within the, if you want to call it, footprint of the neighborhood, and that would be a very quick, easy zone and permit issue to get done.
Yeah, the parking would be horrendous for if it was an apartment.
Right, if we did an apartment complex, there would end up being a neighborhood hearing for adjacent property owners, and that may or may not come to fruition. So this is kind of what the quick best use to get housing on that space. And again, TJ probably would want me to emphasize, this is just an example. It is not necessarily what will go there, but we just want to get some form of visual idea of what a duplex could be. Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second. Further discussion at all? Yes, Gail?
Just that it gets repeated so I can type it for them.
Repeat the motion.
Eric, you want to take the mic to Kathy, because she wrote down the motion. I'm sure she typed super fast.
Well, can you hear me? Lauren Sell moved to empower the council to explore this issue with the backing from the congregation. And Rita seconded.
Does everyone understand we need to continue to explore the issue? We want the backing of the congregation so that that group can move forward in negotiation with Family Promise. Yes, Doug?
I'd like to propose a friendly amendment that this issue becomes sale of the Easter house and the lot adjacent.
Yeah, good point. Good point. And second, do you accept that amendment? Okay, to amend, we're just discussing and defining the property. It is the Easter house, and TJ and I don't know the technical address on Evergreen of that lot.
I have that at home.
Okay, we will get that and we'll enter it into the minutes. Jerry has it at home, the actual address of
But
that
there
lot.
are really no tax records because we don't pay taxes.
Correct, because Jerry brings up the point, there's no tax records on that lot, and the reason for that is it's owned by a church. We don't pay real estate taxes on church property, so there's no reason, since it's an empty lot, for Marion County ever to have tax records on it. Okay? But we'll enter that into the minutes, the exact. I just want to make sure everyone's understanding the two pieces that we're talking about. everything east of our parking lot. It's the empty lot and the white house, what we call the Easter house. Okay, further discussion?
It's the appropriate name for Easter.
Do you know why it got named the Easter house?
No.
We had a contract on that back in the days when the child care was running now. We still owed money on it. We did a fundraiser at this church to pay off the remaining, I think it was $17,000 on the house. And we wanted it done before Easter. And this congregation, as it has many times, dug into its pockets, came up with the money, and we were able to pay off the loan on that Easter, on the house. And we dubbed it the Easter house. That's how it got its name. Further questions? Okay, all those in favor of the motion, raise your hand, put your hands down. All those opposed? It passes. Thank you. I'm looking at a time here, and I kept to sit in great plastic chairs for almost an hour. We're going to move into the future of the church.
I have the results.
Okay, we're going to get down into our...
I'm sorry.
Okay, maybe we can talk about it right now under future of the church. Sure. We're going to give you the results of our election that we had.
Oh, I'm just giving you a hard time.
Here, let me go over that.
I just love giving Brian a hard time.
It's my favorite thing.
So, anyway, all right, so I have results of the election. We have, and we're saving all the ballots so someone can review my counting, because I counted alone. Brian Stroop is elected president. Shocker. Anyway, Steve Tweet is elected council vice president. Andrew Miller is elected council secretary. I'm coming back to members at large. I'm coming back to that. This was exceedingly close, but it looks like Gail Stroop and Judy Rushko are elected as our delegates to Synod Assembly with Pat Bryant as alternate, although someone with wonderful handwriting suggested Natalie and Caleb should be sent as youth members if they want to. So, nominating committee has elected Kathy Mears, Lauren Sell, Eric Nyquist, Karen Halverson, and a special write-in vote for Suzanne Stephen. So, because you can never have too many people on nominating committee. Nominating committee nominates for endowment. We have Peggy Sell, Karen Salverson, and Lorraine Dell are elected. And now we come back to this amazingly close vote for council members at large. It's a sweeper. Marlene Simpson and Deanna Tipton-Noon are elected. And I personally would like Naomi to be my personal assistant all year. What do you think, Naomi? Okay.
Yes?
I needed the repeat on the nominating, because there was something about a handwritten.
On the nominating, Suzanne Stephen was handwritten
She was
and you
handwritten.
also serve on the nominating committee. So I'm staring at Suzanne. Do you agree to serve on the nominating committee?
Oh, sure.
There you go.
I knew she would.
Okay, we want to make it legal. Okay, did anyone have any questions about that? Now, I'm going to put in my public service announcement. We all need as many people to help and volunteer as possible. So even if you are not elected to an office, as many of you out there are not, we still call you up or tap into you when you come by the church for various functions, be it putting the mailing together, helping with building projects, helping on the worship committee and decorating and so forth. So please continue your service. And always, if something comes up, like we're moving into now, the future of our church, if you have a question, I'm available by phone, call me, send me an email, do whatever you need to communicate your concern about the church. Lauren.
I have a little tag on to that, and one of the committees that just finished an excellent job was the calling group. We set up some people to call all the members of the congregation in a very short timeline, and to the large part, we did succeed in that. So, what you would please, if you were on that calling committee that we just finished making the calls, would you just stand up so we can thank you? Brian and Gail are on this call. Thank you very much.
Yes, I thank that group a lot. The reports that have come in that I've started reading through, that's invaluable to know where each of our members are standing, how they've coped with COVID, what they're looking for as our church continues and comes out of COVID. How can we best reach them during this time? That's the number one reason why I put this survey out, because I really wanted to find out, we're working her to death, literally. She's doing videos every week. She's holding services of some form every week. We're in here or now the sanctuary every other week. That's a lot of effort in many different platforms when it used to be, I won't say easy, but it used to be simpler when she just went in there on Sunday mornings. Okay? And it's not just her. There's a lot of volunteers that work to get spaces and everything organized. But I want you to realize, we don't know what's best. We know we cannot continue this multi-platform forever with our current state